Unit 1 Review, question number 36. Ms. Watson is a 12th grade literature teacher. After grading the first two exams, she computed the mean and standard deviation for each exam. Exam 1 mean 76, standard deviation 8.8. Exam 2 89, standard deviation 3.3. Which of the following best describes what the standard deviations tell Mrs. Watson about the exams? The first one, the scores on exam 1 were lower than the scores on exam 2. The mean over here is telling us that the scores are lower. However, we're looking at the standard deviation, so that doesn't help us. The next one, the scores on exam 1 were more spread out than the scores on exam 2. I'm thinking that means than that. And that is definitely the case. We can see that the standard deviation is 8.8 on the first exam and 3.3 on exam 2. We can see over here in the textbook that standard deviation means the spread. And so if I have a larger standard deviation, that means that I have more spread to those data points. A smaller standard deviation means that I have less of a spread. And so this one is correct, but we can continue going for the next ones. The scores on exam 1 were more consistent than the scores on exam 2. Because it has a higher standard deviation, that's not the case. It's actually exam 2 that has less spread, which means they are more consistent. The scores on exam 1 were higher on the score than the scores on exam 2. That's not the case either, as we can see that they are smaller. But again, that's not what the standard deviation points tell us. The next one, the scores on exam 1 were better at measuring learning than the scores on exam 2. Again, not necessarily the case. We can just see that they are, and that isn't the standard deviation. So we're not going to worry about that one either. So we'll just go with the scores on exam 1 were more spread out than the scores on exam 2.